Hello. I am so excited for today's podcast. We are talking to Jeri Quinn. We're going to be talking about you get what you tolerate. I'm so excited for this topic. So excited to see what we're going to be jumping in today. This is going to be so much fun. For those of you that don't know me, I am Sabrina Victoria. I am the host here at Her Talk Show. Listen, if you have not already subscribed, you need to hit that subscribe button. These podcasts are guaranteed to have you thinking differently about life and business. Let's jump right in.
Get ready, because today's guest is about to change the way you view your world. This is Her Talk Show, hosted by Sabrina Victoria.
Right, I already see so many of you jumping on live. Thank you so much for being here. If you are watching us on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay wherever you're at so we can send you some love in the comments. We have had over 600 women grace this stage. We are adding another one to the list today. Jeri Quinn, she is the founder and president of Driving Improved Results, a professional training and development firm. Her second company is Resource Referral Center, a B2B matchmaking firm. As a serial entrepreneur, she's built and run technology firms, which were sold, a human services consultancy, a property management company, and a marketing firm. She coaches leaders to build caring, empowering cultures, make better decisions, grow their self-confidence, and overcome their own limiting habits and beliefs. I love that. She trains managers and supervisors to be the people everyone wants to work for. Yes, she has developed her own team trainers, coaches, and consultants, and drive improved results in leadership, high-performing teams, quality production, presentation, project management, and customer loyalty. I love all of this. Welcome, Jeri. How are you?
Thank you. I'm super great to be here, and I am super honored to be part of the 601 women who are now addressing your audience. It sounds like I'm in a really great company, and so thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, 100%. I am so excited to have you here. I know today's topic is going to be phenomenal. I love the title here as far as you get what you tolerate. I feel like we can go in so many directions with this.
Yeah.
I would love for you to kind of tell us what's on your mind when you think about you get what you tolerate.
All right. So you can say yes to a lot of things, but a lot of times your strength and your success comes from what you say no to. And so if you're the person who gets distracted by bright, shiny objects, if you're the kind of entrepreneur who wants to try this and wants to try that and has a hard time focusing, those are all kinds of things where you can draw boundaries to keep yourself focused and just keep yourself taming those distractions so that you can really be effective by focusing and putting your energy behind one thing. So that's a kind of a boundary, but it's not exactly the whole story, because what you tolerate is all about respect and self-respect, right? So if you tolerate being pulled in different directions by other people or even your own thought processes, then you are not respecting yourself enough to say, I am worthy of real success. I am worthy of all that I deserve. I am respecting myself to know that I'm going to channel my strengths into an area where I'm going to be super successful instead of making myself a little of this and a little of that and a little of something else, and not really giving myself that full successful focus. Yeah. That means I can go deep into an area, really develop a deep relationship with the target market, deep relationship with the staff that I choose to hire, deep relationship with listening to who my clients are. So you get what you tolerate. It's true on so many levels. So on that entrepreneurship level, And then maybe with your staff too, because staff are great at saying, okay, I'll work for you and I'll do this. And then little by little, they say, well, I don't know how to do it. Why don't you just do it? Or I don't know how to do this. Or I have to take some time off. Why don't you just do it this one time? And then it turns into the second time, then it turns into the third time. So, you have to really put your foot down and say, I hired you to do this. I'm not going to take the monkey back. I will train you. I will delegate to you. I will answer all your questions, but then you will do it. And so you're really, as an employer, training people on how to listen to you. You're training people on empowering them so that you don't take the monkey back on yourself. And so you get what you tolerate in terms of how much your staff can rely on you for support, but not rely on you to do it for you. I mean, the whole point in one of my coaching conversations with one of my clients is he would take back their duties if they wanted to go on vacation, instead of helping them train their own assistant so their assistant could take on those duties when they went on vacation. And when that happened, he not only had much too much on his plate, which really robbed him of family time, which is another thing we're going to talk about in terms of personal time in a minute. But he was not building a succession plan into his organization. By empowering his department head to develop an assistant, he was allowing that organization to grow and to thrive and have its own succession plan, and for that department head to become a trainer of their own person and to learn how to delegate on their own. So by doing that, he was robbing that department head of their own growth. And so that really, not knowing what you're going to tolerate really can backfire and really make it make you less empowered and make that other person less empowered.
Yes, 100%. While you're talking about this, I just know that there are individuals that are like, yes, Jeri, yeah, totally agree with you. But saying no to something feels mean, feels disrespectful, feels scary. How does somebody begin to set boundaries firmly, but still like nicely?
All right. So it doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? Suppose you've got an employee and you are not caring and you don't ever show any interest in that person's life, and you everything's cut and dry, right? And then they come to you and say, could you just do this for me because I can't do it myself? And you say no. Of course they're going to probably quit on you because, you haven't developed a relationship. But when you said no, they just totally shut down because of it. Now, if you are a caring employer and you have shown some interest in this person's life and you've trained them and you've delegated things to them in the past, then they say, can you just take this back? And you can say, I love you, right? I can't take it because that wouldn't be doing you a favor. Let me provide some additional training. Let me provide some things to help you, some support so that you can take this on. And I'm willing to do that, but I'm not willing to take this particular accountability away from you because this is your stretch project. This is how you grow and develop. And I want to see you empowered.
I love this.
So it's all how you phrase it in terms of the conversational intelligence, but it's also the relationship you've built that creates this sense of empowerment and this sense of, I want to see you get better. And so I'm setting the standards very high.
Yes, the stretch project. I love that.
Yeah. So I often tell a story about Tony. So Tony was somebody that I went through a leadership course with. And I love the story because it kind of shows how Tony used one of those tools called reframing. And so he was one of those kids in high school who just barely got through high school, and he was everybody's friend, and he was kind of the class clown, and he kind of put in some effort, but just barely enough effort. And then he had a job right out of high school. He was working at a store, and he was doing shelf stocking and things like that. It was a bodega type of situation, and he just got a job to make a few dollars so that he could live right out of high school. And he had the store owner who was setting some very high standards for him. You can't just get away with the minimum here. You got to put in a full day, and you got to give it whole energy, and you've got to do this and do that. And he immediately said, "Oh, this guy hates me. My boss hates me. All he does is make me do work, and he makes life so hard for me." And then they had a conversation, and then he had the reframe. "Oh, my boss really likes me. My boss is making me rise up to a higher standard because he believes I can do it, because he believes I'm empowered, and it's possible for me." And so that's the reframe. And if you're the boss, you want to have those, anybody who's not rising to your standard, get that reframe that you care about them enough because you believe they can. You believe they do have those skills or can develop those skills. And that's kind of the growth mindset that Carol Dweck talks about, that you believe you have potential, you believe you can grow into things, that you don't have a finite number of skills or a finite number of amount of intelligence, but you can grow.
Yeah. I feel like this is a turning point that we probably have come into over the last couple of years, as far as great leaders produce other great leaders versus I feel like not too long ago it was very much that leaders led almost like sheep, or you know what I mean? Like downgraded and made them feel small all the time so that they could stay at the top. Almost like I don't want to say jealousy, but almost like job security.
Yeah. There's a lot of autocratic type of bosses who are looking for job security, who want to protect their knowledge. And you often find that when you take somebody who's a good worker and you promote them to manager, but they don't have the people skills. They have the technical skills to do the job, but they don't have the people skills to actually manage the people. And so one of the things that I do in terms of management skills is help people change that mindset, and then give them a step-by-step way how to coach people instead of how to be their autocratic boss, be a performance coach. And so helping people to go through, well, I break it into 8 steps just so they have a scaffold to actually start to master it. But then once they start to master it, then they can, make it happen on their own with their own sense of style and the way they want to develop culture. But the whole point is that people will grow if you give them the tools to grow, if you give them the support, if you make them take chances, if you phrase it in terms of stretch project, if you give them some voice in how they're going to grow, if you let them make some mistakes, not critical ones for the company, obviously, but you let them make some mistakes to learn from. And when you think in terms of, I'm going to train this person to have critical thinking, to be creative, to think of multiple options. And when I do that over time, I'm training my replacement. And when I'm trained my replacement, that gives me the opportunity to move up in the organization myself. Because that's what people really do, is that they want to move up, and they have to train their replacement so that they can move up.
Yeah. That's like life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes people forget that. Like we had to go from elementary to middle to high to college to a job to moving up, and because there's other people coming behind you.
Mm-hmm. And same thing you do with your children, right? You train your children to become adults because someday you're going to be a senior and you're going to want adults to help you live your life when you're not as capable as you were earlier. So, that's another way. But that brings up the whole personal thing. The whole thing about you get what you tolerate is the way people integrate their personal life and their business life. If you say, I don't take vacations because I work my business and that makes me feel important, then you are really doing yourself a disservice, because you might feel more important, but you're working yourself to the bone and you don't get enough sleep and you don't develop other parts of your life. Well, somebody loving you, and as a partner, do you have children who, children spell love TIME. They want time with you.
Yeah.
And that's how you can make an impactful, an impact on the world, right? As not only through your business, but through your personal life and your children and your family and your friends. And when you develop hobbies and you have a robust personal life, you become a better boss, you become better at your business, you're more connected to the outside world, so you can make better choices around marketing strategies and target markets. I mean, all those kinds of things really develop because you have a personal life. And there are lots of business coaches who say, when you're doing business planning for your year, like we are now, to plan for 2024, what you do first is you plan your vacations first.
Mm.
And then after you plan your vacations, the time you want to take off, then you plan your business activities and you plan what strategies you're going to use for business growth, or what your hiring strategies are going to be, or what sales and marketing strategies are going to be. But you plan your personal time first, and you create some of those boundaries in how much time you're going to work each day, how much time you're going to work each week. Are you going to do a 40-hour work week? Are you going to do a 50-hour work week? Are you going to let it encroach to 60 or 70? Well, no. I want to work 45. And so you plan it so that you do work 45, and you hire other staff to take up the slack if more things need to be done, or you use technology to cut down on work hours so that you can really limit yourself to those 45 hours a week. I know it's hard for entrepreneurs to limit it to just 40, but there are people in career positions who actually do work 40 hours a week, but then they take work home and they think it's expected. Well, at some point, you've got to push back and say, okay, I'm willing to go the extra mile and work 45, but I'm not willing to go above that because I deserve a personal life, and myself is not made to make your business more successful. And I think we learned that during the pandemic, is that we're all working for, many people who are not working for themselves are working for other people. And it really became a life crisis. Like, am I going to go to work and bring COVID home to my family? Am I going to work to make your business more successful at the expense of my own health? Mm-hmm. So people made those choices, and people are thinking, am I going to put myself in a toxic environment? Is it really worth doing that? No, I'm going to switch. And that's why the Great Resignation happened. And so, you get what you tolerate in life, meaning if you create those boundaries and you say no over and above those boundaries, then you find different ways of making things work. And then you live a happier life.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I love everything, everything that you're saying. What's really standing out to me is, and this is so simple, this is why I love this podcast so much, is these little tiny nuggets. Like, this is so simple to plan your personal time off. Yet I've never thought to do that. I've never thought to, like, in the beginning of the year, just plan the time off, take it off my calendar, so that I don't have to worry about booking on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
First, the way that I've always done it is I just go about my life. Then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we need to take a vacation. Then I'm trying to plan a vacation around all my business stuff, which is like everywhere, right? It's like
Oh,
there's
you mean you
meetings
put everybody else before you put yourself? What
Yeah.
kind of self-respect is that?
Yeah, totally. Just you saying that, I was like, that feels so good.
Mhm. Let
That
me give
feels
you
so
another
good.
example.
Okay.
So suppose you are an entrepreneur and you've got a contract and you are doing an engagement with someone or using this contract, and there's a statement of work that you're going to do X, Y, Z, and ABC. And then you've got a person who's your client who says, couldn't you just do E and F? Couldn't you just slide that in and cover it as well? And all of a sudden it's chipped away and chipped away. And all of a sudden your contract is, and your statement of work is no longer valid because it includes all these other things. Well, this is what I tell my clients. When you have a contract and you have a statement of work, you include a change order form saying, in case you want something extra done, as many of our clients do, we include this form that we can use so that we can create this additional statement of work plus the additional cost involved. And that way, when, 4 months down the road and you're in the middle of this contract and the customer says, can't you slip it in? You can say, well, this is why we provided this statement of work. Here's the form. If you remember, we had this as part of our original agreement, that if you want something else, we'll just agree on what it is. We'll agree on a price. And as once this is signed off, then we're happy to do it for you.
Wow.
So you really establish up front what you're willing to tolerate.
Wow. Great, great boundary. Like setting yourself up.
Yeah, you've got to set yourself up if you're going to, just like establishing that vacation at the beginning before you establish anything else in your business. And the other thing is values. Your business has values, hopefully, that you've defined as honesty, integrity, customer service, a bit of fun, always learning, those kinds of values. And every business should have 3 to 5 to 7 values, not so many that it's hard to focus on them, but a certain number that you're really going to stand behind that are your personal values if you're the business owner as well, right?
Yeah.
And so those become guidelines. It's like a river is only a river because it has banks. And the river can flow quickly because the banks hold it in and keep it focused. And you can do business as long as you have values that you honor. Then you can choose customers, you can choose staff, you can choose vendors that are all guided by the behavior dictated by those values. So I had a business one time, and it was my IT business, and I had someone named Mary Lou who worked for us, and I had a client, and the client who was a contract client who we were going to do a number of support hours for, and that client really yelled at Mary Lou, used all kinds of curse words, and was irate about something. And I called the client and I said, I'm sorry, you can't treat my staff like that. This is not the way we do business. Our value is to be civil and to be honest and have integrity. And I'm sorry, but we are going to dismiss you as a client because you're not doing the business way that we do business.
Wow.
And we refunded that client's money, and we just didn't do business with that client anymore.
Wow.
So, this is boundaries on how you're going to conduct business, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, your staff are more important than your clients because you can get many clients, but the staff that you train and that you honor, that staff that Mary Lou felt so great that I stood behind her that then she became a star performer and brought in many new clients. So, that one act made such a difference that Mary Lou and all the other staff that, were of course privy to everything that goes on in a small company. It just really raised the whole ability of us to do things and to attract more clients and to have staff that were that much more dedicated and committed to the organization.
Yeah, you know what this is reminding me of? The very first real job that I had in corporate. I was a recruiter, single recruiter by myself for two men who were running business to business sales company. And there was one time, this is how impactful everything Jeri is saying is to an employee. There was one time I would bring in 20 people. My goal was 20 people a day for recruiting. And probably 4 or 5 months in, there was a interview that came in and the guy was rude to me. He was kind of degrading and just rude and snippy with me and didn't want to wait and whatever. So during a lull, I went into the boss office, just say hi. I don't know, I was leaving for lunch. I don't even know what I was doing. And he's like, how's it going out there? How's the lobby? I'm like, oh, good, good. I'm like, oh, by the way, that one guy, I described him. He was really rude. He was really mean. He's like, who? And I'm like, I don't know. It was, what we went through. And I'm like, oh, it's this guy. And he took it and he tore up the application right in front of me. And he's like, I will never hire somebody that disrespects you. And when he did that, immediately I was dedicated to this company for the rest of my life. I was so impacted by his reassurance in making sure that my voice mattered, that I mattered, that he put me above. I'll never forget that. And that's exactly
and you're still speaking about it right now.
Yeah.
Which means it had a huge impact on you.
Yeah.
That you remember it all these years.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I was 18 and I'm 40. So it was 22 years ago. And I still remember it. It was so, I was I felt so good. I felt so loved.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I never really thought of that as a means of building a good, culture. But that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Speaking of that, as we're kind of wrapping up here, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about good communication, about drama. When you have more than a handful of people working in an office space or even virtually, sometimes people drop the ball, sometimes there's some rifts. What's some goodness that you can give to us as far as, how to deal with drama or how to keep good communication?
Yeah. So my usual way of communicating is through sharing and discovery. So it's asking a lot of questions and then being really good at listening. And there's listening to repeat and reply. There's also listening to just summarize, but then there's listening to connect. And listening to connect means you're listening to the other person's energy. You're listening to where their emotions are and how fast they're speaking. And you're listening for whether this is impactful and there's some vulnerability in what they're saying. And you're listening for what they're not saying. And so being able to really listen really helps when you are handling conflict resolution. There's always drama. And if you encourage drama, you're going to get more of it. And so if you minimize drama by just taking it on the side and saying, what is your concern? And really listening and saying, what would be the kind of solution you're looking for? Would this work instead? If it, really turns into a solution that would be highly full of retribute or whatever. And what if we did this? And so what's fair, and solving problems and helping people solve their own problems. Even asking them, what could you do to solve this problem? And then what can I do to support you? Those kinds of things can help solve a problem that's generating some conflict. But again, you get what you tolerate. If you make a big deal out of it and you spread the whole drama to the whole company and whatever, then you're just going to get more of it, because those people who want attention will just replicate what they saw somebody else do.
Absolutely. I like how you're putting this in their hands too. Like, how can you solve it?
Mm-hmm.
But then how can I help you, not fix it?
Mm-hmm. I like the word support, because support means they're doing it, and I might provide some resources, or I might talk to them about it in the background. But help means I'm going to be actively involved. No,
Okay.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be in the background, maybe being a mirror for you, but I'm not going to do stuff myself unless it's, something big and, my action is required. But it's, and then some things, if someone, if there's a conflict that actually violates one of the company values, then that person's out of there, right? So, you have to know where to draw the lines if it's something that really violates one of your company values or is totally reprehensible in terms of the whole company.
Beautiful. This reminds me of how I talk to my son. I give him, I'm always like, I would be here to support, I'll give him feedback. And then I'm like, I'll be here to support you, but you have to do it. Those uncomfortable conversations, whatever it is. That's great. Absolutely great.
All of my clients, when we first start talking, it's about solving business goals, but as they get into, training, delegation, defining boundaries, empowering people, it all turns into, well, I could be doing this with my spouse and my kids too, right? And then we talk about that. And so executive coaching, which I do a lot of, always veers into away from career and toward life and personal issues at some point.
Beautiful. Yes. Agreement to all that. I want to just pause here for a moment and just say thank you to all of you that are watching live. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. Jeri, obviously people are resonating with what you're saying. They're really appreciating all the goodness that you're sharing here. We're obviously getting a really good idea of, who you are and how you help people. But if you could do me a favor and just kind of give us a rundown of, exactly what you do, exactly what your business does, and who should be reaching out to you? Who do you help?
Yeah, so I help career professionals. I help heads of companies. I help senior leaders and leadership teams. I work with individuals, and I work with teams of people. For instance, I'll be an executive coach to the executive director of a nonprofit, and then that person will bring me in to work with all the department heads on coaching and collaboration among themselves. And then once they experience that, then somebody who's a department head will say, well, help me work with my own team. And so it branches off from there, right? And then, so I'm working on a lot of leadership and management skills and those kinds of things. But then I bring my team in because I have 2 master black belts in Lean Six Sigma who work on process improvement, and their job is to work themselves out of a job. So they'll do some training with the project managers and people in operations, and then they'll mentor them if they've got some big projects going so they can apply what they learned, and then they back out so that then the staff are trained are well trained to then carry on their own. And the same with presentation skills. I have a person who focuses just on that. I have a person who really does brain hacks for better productivity, and project management skills as well. Like we can train your people to take the PMP exam and become an outstanding outstanding project manager who makes things that get done faster, on time, and for less money.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Where can people find you online, social media?
All right. So I am really much more active on LinkedIn than I am any place else. So please look me up on LinkedIn under the name of Jeri Quinn. And then that's as far as social media. And I do a lot with social media messaging. So please reach out. In fact, I'm going to give everybody some homework. The homework is to get a sheet of paper or a Word document and then make a list of all the things you're going to say no to personally, and then all the things you're going to say no to professionally. And that has to do in response to personal versus professional limits that you're going to draw, as well as the values in your company and where you define them and what actions you'll take if they are violated. And then staff, if you have some employees, think in terms of what you'll say no to in terms of employee behavior or employee limits. So explore all of that for yourself. And the whole goal here is to write it down. And when you write it down and define it, it becomes much more real. And then look at it occasionally and add to it so that you really define who you are, what you're about, and what you're not about.
Beautiful.
And
I
so,
love homework.
yeah, I have a website, drivingimprovedresults.com, which you see under my name there. And my email address is Jeri, Jeri, at drivingimprovedresults.com. So my email address is really there too, Jeri at drivingimprovedresults.com. So if you want to, send me your list, create your list of what you'll say no to, and then send it to me and let's chat about it.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. Yes, I challenge each of you to do that. That is so fun. Thank you so much, Jeri.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for those of you listening, Jeri predominantly hangs out on LinkedIn. If you resonated with all the goodness that she shared today, make sure you follow her there and then do your homework and check out her website, drivingimprovedresults.com. We love to keep the conversation going, right? We love to connect people here in order to make sure we all continue to rise. Any closing thoughts, Jeri, as we wrap up?
Yeah. There are times when you're going to draw some lines and you're going to get an adverse reaction to it. So I'd like to say Eleanor Roosevelt's quote about this so that you can think about it as you deal with any kind of pushback. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. So just stay true to yourself and to your self-respect and to your own dignity and your own agency, and look at pushback as something you are not going to consent to. It is something that is the other person's problem because you know who you are.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome.
Jeri, this was great.
I really thank you for, giving me a chance to make my voice known. Yeah. And I look forward to hearing some of the other women and what they have to share that can enhance everyone's life. And thank you, Sabrina, for making the opportunity available.
Yes, this is awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for opening the line to our viewers to be able to contact you directly. That was great. For those of you here watching live, thank you so much for being here. If you are watching us on the replay, all of this is for you also. Make sure you hashtag replay in the comments so that we can say hello and drop you some love. This has been her talk show. Tons of wisdom, tons of inspiration from Jeri today. Thank you to our dedicated listeners. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Remember to follow, like, and share. Once again, my name is Sabrina Victoria. I invite you to join our amazing community, Her Nation, where we continue to uplift and to help each other every step of the way by having conversations just like this.